Hi, welcome to season 6, episode 10 of the Colors of Prog. I'll be discussing London Underground, keyboard-driven Italian prog band. It's pretty much widely not known to a lot of you. They're very, very interesting. So, actually, London Underground was born from the ashes of the Italian band Standarte. Standarte, their sound was very heavily based on psychedelic and prog keyboard-driven bands of the early 70s from the UK, like Atomic Rooster, Quatermass, Deep Purple, and others. That's quite a mouthful. They were a trio when they first began recording with their self-titled 1996 release on Black Widow Records. Daniele Caputo appears to be the band's leader on drums and vocals. Michele Profetti played Hammond organ and the mellotron, and the bass was played by Stefano Gabbani. Even on their debut back then, they were known for doing uncredited covers of psychedelic Beatles and Led Zeppelin tunes. That Standarte album was quickly followed by the same year's Curses and Invocations, with nearly every member of the band now adding the Moog and Mini Moog to their sound. Uh, there may be less cover songs on that album, but it's all good. By their last album, 1999, called Stimmung, Stimung, they only had recorded 5 tracks, but the rest being live versions of other songs. And they added a guitarist for that final release. Singer and drummer Caputo reconvened the band as London Underground, but at this time he was the only remaining member from Standardi. Marco Piagetti had joined on bass, banjo, and backing vocals, and Gianluca Giannini on piano, Hammond, Moog, clavinet, and mellotron. London Underground were also aided by 3 session guitar players. They released their debut in 2000. It's now 25 years ago. It's the most amazing band debuts I have ever heard. That says a lot. Short, it's only just over 30 minutes and still infused with that late 60s, early 70s sound of keyboard-driven rock of that era. Here's what's really interesting about that first London Underground album. It pulls off the impossible task on paper of actually mimicking classic sounds of the era in newly written tunes with that sound. It's like a greatest hits various artists package, which it definitely is not. Um, his unaccented vocals, now remember, it's an Italian band, sound like at times Peter Gabriel, Ray Davies, Roger Daltrey, and more. They effortlessly swung between one style and another. That London Underground debut is a great album and a surprising one. By Honey Drops, released in 2010 on the Musea label, the band completely changed their sound. Now they were an all-instrumental group. While still basically a trio of Gianluca Gerlini on the Hammond clavinet, Fabio Biano on bass, Alessandro Gimignani on percussion, and they were aided by session men on the Moog, mellotron, synth, and saxophones. As Honey Drops takes on a more groove-oriented sound, all swirling around the delectable ocean of keyboards. No vocals here, unfortunately, but they do incorporate music and themes from other well-known artists. And even if they only use that as a projection or a starting point. There's quite an interesting group of songs here. Dharma for one, or rather an excerpt of that, Toll Song, and a fully jazzy psychedelic workout of the Beatles' Norwegian Wood, uncredited. Rounds things out. Um, Bit of a shock after the first London Underground album, where you had all these great songs that were like sounded like so many really popular British bands and great singing. Here we drop the vocals, and it's just like a jazzy, psychedelic, proggy influenced record. Took another 10 years almost for Four, Four, released in 2018. The same band that's on Honey Drops appears, and their sound hasn't really changed much, although still instrumental, and now much also almost space rock in the jammy vein. They managed to cover a Brian Auger Chestnut, Tropic of Capricorn, and a Wes Montgomery song, Bumpin' on Sunset. And here's a delightful cover of the jazz song Mercy, Mercy, Mercy. That's credited to Joe Zawinul. So by now, since their debut, London Underground has taken on a sound more akin to Booker T and the MGs, or even Brian Auger's Trinity, hip, soulful, and full of groove. So if it's not jazz, it's jazzy, and with all the Hammond and Mellotron going on, it's definitely proggy. It's trippy. There's been a few years. They tend to record every decade or so, so they're probably due God knows when. But London Underground, a band you probably don't know much about, most of you, and you should probably try to check their stuff out. I noticed some things on YouTube, and other listening uh, things, devices, but they're worth checking out. I highly recommend them. Thanks for watching.